Hi, Joe Martin here with ITI Technical College, reminding you that classes start August 21st. So it's really important that you get in now to start your journey for a better life.
I'm Lee Feinswag, and this is Sports 225. And not just any Sports 225. This is the 25th year of the show. We started with Sports Monday, continued it into Sports 225, and now, a quarter century later, here we are. Sports 225 is sponsored by Breck. And now, me. This is where I'm going to get you. Well, it's the start of the 2019-2020 Sports 225 season. And you can see that LSU baseball coach Paul Mainieri is my guest. And he might have been in junior high when we started this show, because this, Paul, is year 25. From the old Sports Monday to Sports 225, this is the 25th year, a quarter century of doing this. And somebody asked me I've been asked many times, how can I keep doing this? I said, can't fire me. I own the show. Can you believe that? 25 years.
Well, you're getting old. There's no question about it.
Oh, not kidding.
Aren't we all, though, Lee? Aren't we?
Yes.
I remember the first time we did the show here 14 years ago.
Yeah, when it was Sports Monday.
You invited me for the first time.
Yep. I can't. Well, that's you talk about milestones. I mean, Paul's going to start his 14th year at LSU. So 2 years ago, on a whim, even though it's August, I said, let's start the season with Paul Mainieri. Remember we did that, and it was like, wow, that was so much fun. And so I was thinking about it as I was planning the summer back earlier, and I said, let's catch up with Paul again, because I haven't seen you since the end of baseball season.
Right.
And,
you've done a lot this summer.
Oh God,
we were talking before the show.
I know we both did some amazing things. I mean, I was lucky enough to travel to Japan and Korea this summer. I played World Masters water polo in a city called Gwangju, South Korea, but went to Tokyo for 5 days, a couple of days in Seoul, and then we played. And let me tell you something, it was fabulous. It was just fabulous. But talk about travel. Okay, not too long ago, went to Los Angeles, Dodger Stadium, for the Rod Dedeaux Award, who is the legendary USC coach, by which, until really Skip Bertman maybe surpassed him, is the standard bearer for great college baseball coaches. That must have been such a cool experience.
Well, Rod Dedeaux is, the pioneer, the godfather of college baseball. Of course, Skip won his 5 championships in a decade. Rod had 11 national championships. They were primarily in the 60s and 70s. But I got to know Rod through the years and just always admired him. And he and Tommy Lasorda were best friends out there. Of course, Rod was coaching Southern Cal, and Tommy was managing the Dodgers. And the three of us spent a lot of time together. And then, of course, Rod passed. And Rod was very instrumental in creating international baseball for the United States. He was the pioneer of getting Japan to play the United States in a friendship series and so forth. So they named the USA Baseball Coach of the Year award after Rod Dedeaux. And I'm not too much in receiving awards for myself. I don't really,
but it's not a bad thing.
But when you get an award that has Rod Dedeaux's name on it, it means something special. And especially when they wanted me to go out to L.A. and have Tommy Lasorda present it to me.
Was that? I remember there was a picture on the scoreboard. Was that you, Rod, and Tommy?
No, Rod has passed.
Oh, I mean, not Rod. I'm sorry.
It was Eric Campbell, the general manager of the USA baseball team, along with Tommy. And a little funny story, before we went out on the field, the trophy actually broke.
Oh, no.
So Eric was holding it and wouldn't give it to me, because if he would have given it to me, it would have fell apart. So that's why we had big smiles on our faces. We were laughing about it. But to have Tommy Lasorda there was really a special thing for me. He'll be 92 next month September. And Tommy Lasorda.
Well, you've had him to Baton Rouge as your guest. I remember one year he came in at Media Day and stole the show there for about 10 minutes.
It was a few years ago now, but he, he's been like a second father to me, and so important in my life. And anytime I get an opportunity to spend some time with him now, because as you might imagine, he doesn't travel very much, and it was a special day to be with him.
That's good. And so have it duly noted. So new season, 25th year, only 3 minutes in, I made my first major gaffe trying to get a dead man on a scoreboard for a fixed picture. It's they can't, but that's why they can't fire me. See, Going to Dodger Stadium, which I was fortunate enough to do once, and I gotta tell you a great story. So, 2012 in the spring, I'm in LA, and I was doing some freelance writing. The Giants were going to play at the Dodgers.
Okay.
So, I knew that I could interview Ryan Theriot, and I had an outlet locally for the story, and I was going to do it. Well, I'm trying to get a hold of Theriot. You know, I text him, I call him, I get nothing, right? And he's with the Giants. So I drive to the stadium. You go way up the back and the top. You turn around, you got that unbelievable view of Los Angeles and everything, and you go in, and then you go all the way down to the first floor. It's like 8 floors of the elevator. And I go through, and I remember I saw Dwayne Kuiper, who was a Giants announcer who played at Southern Illinois University, the finest university in the Northern Hemisphere. And
it's finest university in Carbondale.
well, there you go, that too. Yes, exactly. So I walk into the Giants clubhouse, and it's real crowded. It's not a nice for the visitors there. They don't make it friendly.
No.
And there's this little couch, and there's a TV up on the wall, and Theriot is laying on the couch, all scrunched up, watching TV. And I walk in, and I look down at him, and I said, "Yo," and he looks up, and he goes, "The hell are you doing here?" And I said, "I'm looking for you." He goes, "No, seriously, what are you doing here?" And I said, "Well, I tried to call you. I texted you." He goes, "What number do you have?" Dude, I don't know what number I have. I said, "You just never got back to me." He goes, "Seriously, what are you doing here?" And I said, "Well, good to talk to you." So we sat outside. It was real early, maybe 3:30, 4 o'clock. And we sat out there. It was, of course, typical LA day, 70 degrees, not a cloud in the sky, the breeze blowing, and just visited. And then, what a beautiful ballpark.
Well, it's the 3rd oldest ballpark now. Did you know that?
Wow.
Behind Wrigley Field and Fenway Park. And yet
that makes sense because there was that incredible barrage of new stadiums that never made it. And then there's so many places have been turned over.
But they, of course, when the Dodgers moved from Brooklyn to LA, they built Dodger Stadium in the Chavez Ravine there, not too far from downtown LA. But they have, without changing the appearance of it, they've updated a lot of the infrastructure of it. So it's, even though it's probably 60 years old now, it doesn't feel like it because it's been modernized in the interior part of it. So we had a great time. We went to Tommy's office, and he had pictures all over the wall. He must have had 20 pictures of Frank Sinatra and all these legendary people. And he says to me, "When are you going to give me a picture of you?" And I said, "Yeah, right. Okay, Tommy. Who are you going to take down on this wall to put my picture up?" "Oh, why don't we take Ernie Banks down, or Jackie Robinson, or Sandy Koufax, or one of these presidents that you have up on the wall?" I'm sure I rate right there with those guys.
That's great. Hey, I almost forgot to tell you. So we got to take a break. We're way over. But I went to see the Tokyo Giants when I was in Tokyo. Saw them play the Hiroshima Carp. I'll tell you about that. And eventually we'll talk even some LSU and college baseball with Paul Mainieri. I'm Lee Feinswag. It's Sports 225.
Break out of the chaos.
All right, we're back on Sports 225, hanging out with Paul Mainieri, the LSU baseball coach. He's starting his 14th year at LSU. I'm in the start of my 25th season of the combined Sports Monday, Sports 225. So I told you, how I went to Tokyo, and one of the things I got to do there was see the Tokyo Giants play the Hiroshima Carp. So the Carp, they use the Cincinnati Reds hats. They're identical.
Okay.
The red hat with the C, it's the same.
Really?
So New Era or somebody's getting to market the same thing because they're so it was everything that you thought, the craziness of a Japanese baseball.
The parties.
So take center field down the middle and all the way to the left field foul pole is where the Hiroshima fans mostly were. They had a drums, they had bugles, they had all the noisemakers singing, chanting. All the way on the other side was the home team fans. They had all of that, and the songs were nonstop, like going to a Euro soccer game. The quality of play was very good. There were some Americans, but I didn't know who they were. And the program was all in Japanese anyway. They had no translation on that stuff. Even on the scoreboard, they didn't put up anything in English, which was in Tokyo, luckily, in the subways and stuff, and a lot of businesses, they have English, but they did not at the baseball game. But Paul, there was, if you imagine, on the lower level, in the bowels of the stadium, a hallway from foul pole to foul pole, a big concourse, food court.
Come on.
All the way.
All sushi?
Everything from sushi to sandwiches, to stir fry, to you name it.
Oh, man.
Hot dogs.
You're making me hungry.
It was incredible.
You're making me hungry.
You need to go. You would enjoy it so much.
Well, let me tell you something. One of the thrills of my coaching career was coaching against the Japanese collegiate national team. I came back from coaching 5 games against those guys. I told our players, that was the best team I've ever coached against. Watching them take pregame, infield, outfield, I was absolutely captivated by it. Just the efficiency and the crispness of it. I would imagine that these players start at 8 o'clock in the morning and don't quit till 6 o'clock at night and just drill all day long.
Yeah.
They were fabulous, and every one of their pitchers threw 5 pitches. The range was 63 to 95 miles an hour, perfect mechanics. They all threw split finger fastballs. I mean, they were so good. So when we beat them 3 out of 5, and every game could have gone the other way. We lost 1-0 in the opening game. The next night we beat them 1-0. We struck out 19 times and still won the game 1-0. We scored in the 9th inning to win. That was on July 4th, our nation's birthday. Couldn't lose that night, of course. And it was a packed stadium in Durham, North Carolina. And then we had 3 more marvelous games with them. So I'll tell you, my respect for Japanese baseball is off the charts. I'm so glad Rod Dado took the initiative to get the United States and Japan together on the baseball field.
Well, you want respect, though, for Japanese baseball. The young ladies who sell the beer in the stadiums have kegs on their back in backpacks.
Stop it.
They run up and down and they stop and then they fill the cup and sell you. So it's got to be so exciting for you right now in Major League Baseball what the former Tigers are doing. Oh my gosh. Guys who you targeted like probably as junior high players, followed through high school, recruited,
amazing?
got to come here. Alex Bregman for one.
Yeah. Well, the big three that are most distinguishing themselves right now, of course, Alex Bregman signed a $100 million contract with the Astros, finished, I think, 2nd or 3rd in MVP voting last year.
Got a chance to win this year.
He's got 30 home runs. He's leading the team in RBIs, home runs. He's playing great again. Aaron Nola, who finished 2nd in the Cy Young voting last year, it had a slow start at the beginning, and now he's doing what Nola typically does. He won again last night, 12-3 with a 3.5 earned run average. And how about DJ LeMahieu? Probably the best kept secret in all of Major League Baseball for about 6 years. But you go to New York, play for the Yankees, lead the American League in hitting, and all of a sudden people start to take notice of you. But he's been phenomenal as well. And even just yesterday, I had my 18th former LSU Tiger get called up to the big leagues. Jake Fraley got called up to the
Seattle,
big leagues.
right?
So he and Austin Nola will be now teammates with the Seattle Mariners. And what a story, Austin Nola. 7 years in the minor leagues. I thought he should have been in the big leagues 4 years ago. Hung in there, kept fighting, became a minor league free agent after playing 6 years in the Marlins organization, so he could pick his team now. He picked the Mariners, where he thought they could use an extra catcher because he had converted to catching. And now he gets called up. He's played 5 different positions. He's homered in 3 straight games.
Yeah. Oh, I know.
I mean, he's just doing phenomenal.
Have you ever had a nicer kid than him play
No.
for you? I mean,
No.
I
texted him yesterday when Fraley got called up to the big leagues, and I said, hey, take Jake under your wing and show him the ropes. And, of course, he texted me back, and I told him, I said, he said, Coach, when he met, he knew Jake Fraley from spring training. He says, Jake's a great kid, and you always recruit such outstanding people. And I replied, and I said, well, you were the best. You're the best recruit I ever had, and my all-time favorite. If there was a poster child for LSU baseball, it would be Austin Nola.
I agree because of, and especially, well, of course, while he was there, so accommodating to the media, so nice, and of course, a fabulous college baseball player. And then we always love the guys who are grinders through the minor league system and finally get there. And oddly enough, when they called him up as a catcher, and then he went and played first base. You know, so. Yeah.
Well, Austin did more community service work than anybody while he was a member of the team. He graduated in 4 years before he went into professional baseball. His freshman year, I don't know if you remember this, but he didn't start the first 40 games of the season. DJ LeMahieu was our shortstop. And then I made a decision that a lot of people thought I was kind of crazy. It was probably the most bold decision I've made in my coaching career, but I decided to insert Austin Nola, move LeMahieu to second base, which also had a domino effect on a few other moves. But I felt like it was
I remember
the
that at
impetus
the time.
for us to go 28
Yeah.
and 5 the rest of the way and win the national championship.
Yep. And
You remember that?
Yeah, and you know, LeMahieu, of course, has never left second base and done pretty well.
And won 3 Gold Gloves in the
Exactly.
major leagues.
All right,
yeah.
I'm about to have a major coughing fit, and we're way over.
Okay.
So hold on, we'll take this break. I'm Lee Feinswag at Sports 225.
Break out of the routine.
Got a tickle in the throat, do you?
Still coughing through the break. We're back on Sports 225. Oh, you were so close last year for LSU baseball. You know, you were just so close to getting back to Omaha. And it was a really nice team. And you lose 3 great players, a couple others who started, 2 mainstay pitchers. You know,
Yeah.
it's going to be a new look Tigers this year.
You know, every year is an entity into its own, Lee. And last year we started off the season, preseason number 1, and then even starting in the fall, we just had such a rash of injuries.
Let me ask you about that. Because
My
one time,
God.
I texted Paul one time early in the season. I said, "The hell did you do in an earlier life to piss off somebody to have this many injuries?" I've never heard anything like it.
We had like 8 at a time, 8 to 10 pitchers that were hurt at one time. And you know, one weekend, the entire season, out of 17 weekends, did we have what we thought would be our starting rotation together. One weekend out of 17. And you know, it's not like you can just go dip into AAA or, you know, like pro organizations or make a trade. You know, can't do that. So we never really got into that great groove on the mound, which of course is the most important position. But our kids fought like they always do, and they fought to the bitter end. And you know, we really got hot at the end of the season, and then things started to go our way a little bit. You know,
Yeah.
Florida State goes to Georgia, where we would have had to go for a super regional, knocks them off, and you got Florida State at home for a super regional. You know, but Mike Martin's last year, they're playing so inspired. It was like they were a team of destiny, and we lose 2 heartbreakers. So, you know,
He's a nice man too,
yeah,
isn't he?
he is, you know. But, you know, I wanted to win. I wanted
of course.
to say, okay, I'm the last coach
Yeah,
that he ever
yeah, he
coached
is.
against, you know. But, you know, I have my loyalties to LSU and to our fans.
And to yourself.
But, you know, if you don't win that last game of the year, Lee, it's just, you know, it always is disappointing, whether it's in a regional, super regional, or in Omaha, or in the finals in Omaha like it was a couple years ago. You just want to win that last game of the year, but it is so hard to do it. Skip made it look easy for a decade, but it's really not that easy. And but you know, it's a new year now. We're ready to go. And you know, you remind me, we lose Josh Smith, Zach Watson, Antoine Duplantis. We lose Zach Hess, Todd Peterson. But this is what happens every year in college baseball. You know, you're going to have some turnover. You lose kids early to the draft. You lose recruits to the draft. But I feel good about this team we've put together. I mean, there's talent there. It's just we're got some really young position players.
You have 12 freshmen coming in, I think,
yeah,
right?
we got some really young position players that are going to take some time to work with. But I feel like we have a little bit of a veteran pitching staff. Not as veteran as you would think you have based on the years, because Jaden Hill didn't pitch that much last year, and Cole Henry missed half the year, and Landon Marceau had times when he was having to shut down. So if you had all those freshmen that would have pitched all year, you'd be going into the next year, their sophomore year, saying, hey, these guys are ready. But the unknown is there because they never got a chance to pitch consistently and have the level of success consistently. But Listen, I think it's going to be exciting. I think we're going to have a good team again. I really don't have much choice, do I, around here with LSU folks? They expect us to be a contender, to get to Omaha and play for a national championship, and I don't think we'll disappoint them.
But lest we forget, I mean, it's not like that's your own expectations. You know,
No.
you can ask anybody, but especially someone like Paul, the pressure that you put on yourself is far greater than comes from anywhere else.
Lee, if I didn't want pressure, we would have never come to LSU. You know, I always wanted to coach at a place where people loved college baseball, where they were passionate about it, where they cared deeply, and where else but LSU? I mean, this is where you want to be. So you're never going to hear me complain about pressure and expectations. I'm glad we have them. I'm glad the pressure's there. I'm glad there's expectations. I'm glad we get 10,000 people come out to root us on every game. Sometimes there's criticism. It's all part of it, you know. But all I can do is do the best that I can, and our players can do the best they can, and hopefully we'll be right there in the hunt again at the end of the year, and hopefully this year we'll get a few breaks and play good at the right time and get to Omaha and win it all.
Keep them healthy.
Those, you know, there's some things you can't do much about the weather, and I can't do much about the health of the players. But we're trying to do some things about the health of the players. You know, we've studied so much about why these injuries. It's easy to sit back and say, well, these kids throw too much. You know, you're complaining about your shoulder, you know, from water polo. Imagine these kids have played baseball. I watched a Little League World Series game the other day. The kid had to come out of the game in the second inning with a sore arm. I mean, these kids are throwing at 12 years old and they don't stop. And it's a cumulative effect that takes place. And by the time they become college kids, you know, you pay the price for it. So.
Yeah, or their coach does. He's Paul Mainieri. I'm about to have another coughing fit. I'm Lee Feinswag. We got time for one short segment left on Sports 225. We'll be right back.
Break out of the chaos.
Coming down the home stretch of another Sports 225, thanks to John Williams from JCW. Think JCW for all your production, strategic, et cetera needs for directing the show. You go to sports225.com to not only see where we're airing first on CST and Cox 4, but also for all the archived shows, including this one eventually. Paul Mainieri's here. So 12 freshmen roughly. And you picked up a JC pitcher not too long ago. Yeah. But tell me of those freshmen who you think maybe could be that next great player.
Well,
is that fair?
I don't think it's fair because, you know, I make our players earn everything they get. And if you start talking about, oh, this kid or this kid, but, you know, it's hard to ignore Cade Doty, the boy out of Denham Springs, who we're very fortunate.
Had a good summer, too.
He had a great summer in a collegiate summer league as a high school senior.
Yeah.
And he's got a chance to be special, I think. But we got a lot of good players in this class. We really focused mostly on position players, Lee. Last year our focus was mostly on pitchers. This year our focus was mostly on position players and left-handed pitching. I know it's been a big criticism of mine, you know, and rightly so over the last year. We didn't have any left-handed pitching, and I think it hurt us. So we have 3 new left-handed pitchers coming in, and hopefully they'll all be able to contribute to our team. And the one lefty that we did have, hopefully he'll be healthy from last year. So we have a little bit more options on our staff. You
made a coaching change, too, and picked up Eddie Smith from Tulane, right?
Eddie Smith is a young man that I've known for a long time. He's not so young anymore. He's mid-30s. He's had a tremendous coaching career. And he played for me at Notre Dame, and he worked with my good friend Brian O'Connor for 5 years at Virginia. He coached his own team at junior college out in the state of Washington to great success. And the last 2 years at Tulane, where Tulane broke all the conference offensive records that they had standing forever. So I think Eddie really knows what he's doing. He's going to be great and make a big difference for us.
Good. This was great.
Exciting.
I'm a genius show director because I got this guy to come on and he's fantastic. No, you know how much I always enjoy just visiting with you anyway, but especially when you come on the show, it's great.
Well, it's always a pleasure.
I hope
for me,
everybody
Lee.
stays healthy and you have a great fall and then follow it with a great spring.
Yeah, well, I'm going to enjoy football season, basketball season before we open up Valentine's Day this year. We open up on Valentine's Day. So all you
free roses for everybody from Paul Mainieri.
All you men, get ready to take your women out to a nice Valentine's Day ball
gotta
game.
get out
I'm
of
sure
here.
that'll go over well.
LSU baseball and Valentine's Day. In the meantime, I'm Lee Feinswag, and we've survived the first show of the 25th year. We'll see you next week.
At carnival time by Baton Rouge Bay, that's the site of my story. At Spanish Town Mardi Gras, things can get blurry. See the mowers marching, prizes fill the sky.